When you're calculating intervals, you want to always calculate from the lowest note. For example, if we want to know the note, or the interval from C to F, then we approach it the same way that we just learned in the last lesson. C, D, E, F, and we find out that's a fourth. The reason it's important to start from the lowest interval is because it's going to be different. If you go from F to C, let's see what happens. If you do it that way, then it turns out that F to C is a fifth. So you have to be really careful you're identifying which note is lower when you're trying to identify the interval. The reason that's important is because just as there are different types of scales, then there are also different kinds of intervals. And what we're going to start off talking about are major intervals. Okay. So we'll start with a C major scale because it's the easiest. The second note, C to D, is a second. Because D is the second note of the C major scale, then we call this a major second. C to E, you learned, is a third. And because it's the third note of the C major scale, then we call it a major third. Now this is important because we also said that from C to E flat is a third, right? C to E flat is definitely a third, but it's not a major third because the E flat is not part of the C major scale. There's a few other examples. C to A is a sixth, and because it's the sixth note of the major scale, we call it major sixth. And C to B would also be a major seventh. Now, the reason I keep emphasizing that it's the second note, third note, whatever, of the major scale is because most of the scales have accidentals in them. So let's take a look at the G major scale. You know from the lessons that we've just done on major scales that the G major scale has F sharp in it. So if I ask you what a major seventh is up from G, well, give G the number 1. The seventh note of the G major scale is F sharp. So G to F sharp is actually a major seventh. G to F is still a seventh, but it's not a major seventh because F natural is not part of the G major scale. F sharp is part of the G major scale. Okay. So you always have to be careful about what you're looking at. Let's do one more example. If we look at the D major scale, you know from the units that we've just done that the D major scale has F sharp and C sharp in it. So D to F sharp is a major third. Again, D to F is still a third, but it's not a major third. F sharp's part of the major scale, so D to F sharp is a major third. And in this case, we also have another example for major seventh. D to C sharp is a major seventh as well. Okay. So when you're calculating the major intervals, be very particular about which scale you're in, about the key signatures, about the accidentals, all that stuff. Do some practice with this, and then we're going to talk about one more quality of